Stop searching outside. The key is already in you by Dr. Wayne Dyer is a life-changing message reminding us that true fulfillment doesn't come from the outside world, but from recognizing the divine power already within. In this speech, Dr. Dyer inspires us to awaken our inner potential, embrace self-trust, and live with purpose. It's a call to stop chasing external validation and start unlocking the treasures of our own soul. The illusion of searching outside is one of the most powerful traps human beings fall into, and it is deeply woven into the way our world conditions us from childhood. From the very beginning, society teaches us that happiness, worth, and fulfillment lie somewhere outside of ourselves. We are told that success depends on how much we achieve compared to others, that beauty depends on how well we fit an external standard, that love depends on being validated by someone else, and that peace of mind is something we might someday find if the world aligns perfectly in our favor. This illusion becomes the silent driver of our daily lives, making us run endlessly toward things that seem to promise completion, but ultimately leave us feeling the same emptiness once the temporary excitement fades. The outer world keeps dangling rewards, recognition, and validation as if they are the ultimate sources of happiness, but no matter how hard we chase them, they do not satisfy the longing within, because the longing is not for something outside. It is for something we already carry inside. We grow up believing that happiness will come when we get the perfect job, the ideal relationship, the financial security, or the respect of society. And yet, how often do people who attain these very things still find themselves restless, anxious, and searching for more? This endless pursuit is not because those things are bad or unworthy. Rather, it is because they were never the source of fulfillment to begin with. They are reflections, not roots. To search outside for what already exists within is like a fish searching for water. It is always immersed in it, but blinded by the belief that it lies somewhere else. This blindness causes people to strive endlessly, comparing themselves to others, measuring their worth against external standards, and forgetting that true peace and happiness are not found in the accumulation of possessions or in the approval of others, but in the recognition of the treasure already within their being. The illusion is maintained because the outer world rewards conformity to its patterns. Schools teach us to compete for grades, jobs reward us for titles, society praises us for appearances, and the media constantly tells us we are incomplete unless we buy more, achieve more, or become more. We internalize these voices and begin to define ourselves by them. A person who earns admiration might feel valuable only as long as the applause continues. A person who achieves success might feel powerful only until someone else surpasses them. These external sources are fleeting and fragile, yet they hold so much of our energy because we mistake them for the source of what we seek. When the applause fades, when the status slips, when the possessions lose their shine, the illusion cracks, and people are left either devastated or searching again for the next outside solution. The cycle continues endlessly until one awakens to the truth. The key was never out there. It was always inside. Wayne Dyer often reminded us that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but spiritual beings having a human experience. This shift in perspective is what breaks the illusion of searching outside. When you identify yourself only with the body, the possessions, or the achievements, then naturally you believe fulfillment must come from something external. But when you realize that the essence of who you are is beyond roles, beyond status, beyond possessions, then the truth becomes clear. You already have within you everything you have been seeking outside. Peace is not found in the noise of the world, but in the stillness of your soul. Love is not something to be begged for from others, but something that radiates from the very nature of your being. Strength is not about dominating the external, but about mastering your inner state. The illusion of searching outside keeps you distracted from this truth because it makes you forget that you already are whole. This illusion also shows up in the way people think about spirituality or divinity. Many are taught to search for God as if God is an external authority sitting somewhere far away, waiting to judge or bless them. They pray as if God is separate, played as if divinity is outside, and worship as if they are disconnected. Yet the teachings of great spiritual masters throughout history emphasize the same truth. The kingdom of God is within you, the divine is already present in your soul, and the source you are seeking is not distant, but intimately woven into the fabric of your being. To search for God outside while ignoring the divine presence within is to keep running in circles. The illusion persists because it feels easier to place responsibility outside on circumstances, on other people, on fate, rather than realizing that the transformation we long for begins by looking inward. When people believe the illusion of searching outside, they often live in comparison. They look at others and imagine that happiness must be in what the other person has: more wealth, better looks, higher status, more recognition. But comparison is a thief that blinds us from our own inner treasures. The constant measuring of ourselves against others creates insecurity and envy, reinforcing the idea that we are lacking. Yet the truth is that every individual carries a unique spark, a unique essence that cannot be compared. The illusion convinces us that worth is a competition, but in reality, worth is intrinsic. The more we chase validation from others, the more disconnected we become from the inner voice that already knows our value. The search outside not only fails to bring peace, it often increases suffering because it makes us dependent on forces we cannot control. Another dimension of this illusion lies in how people pursue material possessions. Society glorifies the idea that buying more, owning more, and consuming more leads to happiness. Advertisements constantly whisper that life will be complete if only you purchase the next thing. And while material comfort can improve the quality of life, it cannot fulfill the soul's longing. That is why even billionaires can feel empty, celebrities can feel lonely, and achievers can feel dissatisfied. The illusion tricks us into thinking that the next milestone will finally bring peace. But once the milestone is reached, the longing remains. It is not the possession itself, but the belief that fulfillment lies outside that keeps the cycle alive. The truth is that material things can only bring temporary satisfaction. Lasting joy arises from the awareness that your essence is already whole without them. Relationships also often become arenas where this illusion plays out. Many people enter relationships seeking someone else to complete them, to make them feel loved, to fill the void within. This is why so many relationships end in disappointment, because no person can fulfill a need that can only be fulfilled internally. When love is sought as a way to patch an inner emptiness, it becomes conditional, demanding, and fragile. But when a person realizes that love is already within them, that they are already complete, relationships transform into spaces of sharing rather than needing. The illusion of searching outside convinces us to look to another human being as the source of our wholeness. But the truth is that wholeness must be discovered within first. Then love shared with another becomes abundant and unconditional. The illusion extends into achievement and recognition as well. People often believe that once they reach a certain level of success or gain a certain level of respect, they will finally feel fulfilled. Yet countless stories show that even after reaching the pinnacle of fame or success, individuals still feel restless. Awards, applause, and titles can be beautiful, but they are temporary. They are reflections of effort, not the source of peace. Chasing them endlessly is like chasing shadows, always moving, never satisfying. The illusion thrives because it makes people believe the next achievement will be different, but it rarely is. Only when one turns inward and realizes that peace and purpose come from being aligned with their true self, not from external recognition, does the cycle finally dissolve. This illusion of searching outside is not only personal but collective. Entire societies are built around it. Nations compete for power, companies compete for dominance, and groups compete for validation. This creates a world of constant striving, conflict, and unrest because the collective energy is focused outward rather than inward. Imagine if societies placed as much emphasis on inner awareness, mindfulness, and self-discovery as they do on external competition and consumption. The collective consciousness would shift from lack to abundance, from division to unity, from fear to peace. But as long as the illusion prevails, humanity will continue to chase solutions outside, new technologies, new systems, new conquests, while forgetting that the true key lies within human consciousness itself. The root of this illusion lies in forgetting who we truly are. When we identify only with the body, the roles, the possessions, and the external story, then we naturally feel incomplete and look outward for completion. But when we awaken to the deeper truth, that we are infinite beings of consciousness, carrying divine essence, already whole, then the illusion crumbles. This does not mean rejecting the outer world or denying its beauty. Rather, it means seeing the outer world as a mirror, not a master. External achievements, relationships, and possessions can be enjoyed, but they are no longer mistaken for the source of fulfillment. They are reflections of inner abundance, not substitutes for it. The illusion breaks when we realize that nothing outside can add to or take away from who we already are at the core. Unlocking divine potential within begins with the recognition that every human being carries an inner reservoir of limitless power, wisdom, and creativity that is far greater than what the external world has conditioned us to believe. Most people go through life identifying only with their limitations, their struggles, their past mistakes, and the labels society places upon them. They forget that beneath the surface identity lies a boundless energy connected directly to the universal source of life itself. This potential is not something that must be imported from outside or earned through endless striving, but rather something that has always been present, waiting to be remembered and awakened. When a person realizes that the same intelligence that orchestrates galaxies, grows forests, and beats their heart is also flowing through them, they begin to see that their true self is not powerless or incomplete, but already equipped with divine strength. This realization transforms the way they see challenges, the way they pursue goals, and the way they connect with others. The process of unlocking this divine potential requires a shift in awareness. It is not about adding something new to oneself, but removing the layers of doubt, fear, and conditioning that have been built up over time. From childhood, people are taught to think in terms of limitations. You are told what you cannot do, who you cannot become, and what is not possible for someone like you. These voices of limitation bury the inner knowing that says, I am capable, I am connected, I am powerful. The divine potential within becomes overshadowed by the noise of society, by self-doubt, by past wounds, and by external opinions. But when one begins to question these limitations and turn inward, a deeper truth emerges, the truth that potential is not created by the world, but by alignment with the source of life that already dwells within. Unlocking it is about remembering, not acquiring. One of the most profound aspects of this inner potential is creativity. Every human being has within them the spark of creation itself, the same force that brings forth life from nothingness. When we align with that spark, new ideas, innovations, and solutions flow through us effortlessly. Many of the greatest breakthroughs in art, science, and philosophy did not come from external searching, but from tapping into this inner well of inspiration. Artists speak of moments when creativity feels like it is coming through them rather than from them, as if they are channels for a greater intelligence. This is what unlocking divine potential feels like, an effortless flow, a sense of being guided, a realization that you are not separate from creation but part of it. Everyone has access to this, but the illusion of limitation often keeps people from discovering the depths of their creative power. Another dimension of divine potential is resilience. Life presents challenges, obstacles, and losses that seem unbearable at times. Many people feel crushed under the weight of circumstances because they believe they are facing life only with their human strength. But when one taps into the divine potential within, a new strength arises, a strength that does not come from ego or control, but from trust in the higher self. This resilience is what allows individuals to rise after failure, to keep faith in the midst of uncertainty, and to walk through difficulties with grace. It is not about denying pain or pretending that struggles do not exist, but about realizing that within you lies an unshakable center that cannot be destroyed by circumstances. This center is the divine spark, and it gives you the power to keep moving forward no matter what happens around you. The divine potential within also expresses itself through love and compassion. When people live disconnected from their inner essence, they often seek love externally, hoping to receive validation or affection from others. But when the inner potential is unlocked, love is no longer something one chases. It becomes something one radiates. You begin to realize that love is your natural state, not a rare gift to be earned. Compassion flows naturally when you recognize that the same divine spark that lives in you also lives in others. This realization dissolves barriers of separation and judgment. You begin to treat others not as competitors or strangers, but as reflections of the same source you carry within yourself. In this state, forgiveness, kindness, and empathy arise effortlessly. Unlocking divine potential is not just about personal growth, but about transforming the way we relate to the entire human family. Another expression of this potential is intuition. Beyond logic and analysis, there is a deeper knowing that comes from alignment with the divine. Many people dismiss intuition as mere coincidence or imagination, but those who cultivate inner awareness know that intuition is the voice of the higher self guiding them. It is the gentle nudge, the inner whisper, the sudden clarity that points you in the right direction. When divine potential is unlocked, intuition becomes stronger because the noise of fear and doubt quiets down. Decisions no longer feel forced because you begin to trust the inner guidance that arises naturally. This guidance can lead to opportunities, protect you from harm, and align you with your highest path. Intuition is one of the most powerful gifts of divine potential, yet it remains hidden until one learns to listen inwardly. Unlocking divine potential also reveals the capacity for inner peace. Many people believe peace is only possible when external circumstances are perfect, but such a belief keeps them trapped in restlessness because the world is never without challenges. True peace comes from within, from realizing that you are not defined by the chaos outside, but by the stillness at the center of your being. When this potential is unlocked, you discover that peace is not something you wait for, it is something you cultivate. You begin to carry a calm presence even in the midst of storms. This is not passive resignation, but active alignment with the divine. The more you stay rooted in this inner peace, the more it influences your outer life. Situations that once disturbed you lose their power because you are anchored in a deeper truth that cannot be shaken. Another key aspect of unlocking divine potential is the realization of purpose. Many people wander through life feeling lost, unsure of why they are here, or believing their purpose is only tied to external achievements. But when you connect with the divine within, you realize that your purpose is not something to be found in the world, but something to be expressed from your soul. Purpose is not about what you do, but about the energy you bring into what you do. Whether you are teaching, creating, leading, serving, or simply being present with others, your purpose flows naturally when you align with the inner source. This realization lifts the pressure of comparison because you no longer measure yourself against others' paths. You understand that your purpose is unique, that it cannot be replicated, and that living authentically is the truest way to fulfill it. Unlocking divine potential means stepping into your unique purpose with confidence and trust. The divine potential within also manifests as the ability to transform negative patterns. Human beings often feel trapped by their past, by old habits, painful experiences, or limiting beliefs. These patterns repeat because they are fueled by unconscious conditioning. But when divine potential is unlocked, a person gains the awareness and strength to break free from these cycles. The power that creates worlds also flows through you, and with it comes the ability to rewrite your story. You no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstances, but as a creator of your reality. Transformation becomes possible because you are no longer operating only from the mind, but from the deeper intelligence of the soul. This is why individuals who awaken to their divine potential often experience profound shifts in behavior, health, relationships, and outlook. They begin to live from a higher level of consciousness where old chains cannot hold them. An essential part of unlocking divine potential is trust. Trust in yourself, trust in life, trust in the unseen forces guiding you. The mind often clings to control, wanting to predict and manage every outcome, but this control creates tension and fear. When you unlock the divine potential, you begin to let go of the need to control everything and instead trust the flow of life. You recognize that the same intelligence that makes the sun rise and the seasons change is also guiding your path. This trust does not make you passive. It makes you powerful because you align with a force greater than the ego. Life becomes less about forcing and more about flowing, less about struggling and more about allowing. The doors that once seemed locked begin to open because you are no longer resisting the very energy that wants to guide you. Unlocking divine potential within is also about stepping into authenticity. So many people live behind masks trying to please others, to fit in, or to live according to societal expectations. This constant pretending drains energy and hides the true self. But when the divine spark within is embraced, authenticity naturally arises. You no longer fear rejection because you know your worth does not depend on external approval. You no longer chase acceptance because you are rooted in your own truth. Living authentically means honoring your inner voice, even if it goes against the crowd. It means expressing your unique gifts without apology. This authenticity not only liberates you, but also inspires others to do the same. It becomes a ripple effect, reminding others that they too carry the same divine potential within themselves. Trusting the wisdom of your soul is one of the most profound realizations a person can come to, yet it is often the last place people look when faced with decisions, challenges, or the search for meaning. From early in life, we are taught to rely on external authorities, parents, teachers, institutions, experts, social systems, while the inner voice, the quiet guidance of the soul, is ignored, doubted, or silenced. The soul speaks in whispers, in feelings, in intuition, in subtle nudges that point us toward truth and authenticity. But because society values logic, analysis, and external validation above inner knowing, many grow up distrusting this deeper wisdom. Trusting the wisdom of the soul is about reversing that conditioning and recognizing that within you lives a compass more accurate than anything outside, one that is aligned with the flow of life and with your highest good. When you begin to trust it, you discover a freedom and clarity that cannot be given by the outside world. The wisdom of the soul does not shout or demand. It is not the loud, anxious voice of fear that constantly urges you to control and protect yourself. Instead, it is a quiet presence, often drowned out by the noise of the mind and the world. This is why so many people struggle to hear it. They are constantly distracted, overstimulated, and focused outward. The mind is filled with chatter about what could go wrong, what others might think, or what is logically the safest choice. The soul's wisdom does not compete with this chatter. It waits patiently until you are ready to listen. And when you do listen, even for a moment, you feel an unmistakable sense of rightness. It may not make logical sense to others, but it resonates deep within. Trusting this wisdom requires courage, because it often asks you to step away from the crowd, to leave behind comfort zones, or to walk a path that looks uncertain from the outside, but feels aligned on the inside. One of the ways the wisdom of the soul communicates is through intuition. Intuition is often dismissed as irrational or unscientific, but countless people can recall moments when a gut feeling, an inner knowing, or a sudden insight guided them correctly even when the facts suggested otherwise. Scientists, artists, inventors, and leaders throughout history have relied on intuition for breakthroughs. Intuition is not random, it is the language of the soul, pointing you toward what aligns with your deeper purpose. Trusting intuition requires practice because it is easy to confuse it with fear or desire. True intuition feels calm, steady, and quietly confident, whereas fear feels urgent, panicked, or desperate. The more you learn to distinguish the voice of the soul from the noise of the mind, the more natural it becomes to trust it. The wisdom of the soul also reveals itself in synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem too precise to be chance. You might be thinking of a new path, and suddenly the right book falls into your hands, or the right person enters your life at the exact moment you need guidance. These synchronicities are the universe's way of confirming that you are in tune with the wisdom of your soul. When you are disconnected, life feels random and chaotic. But when you align with your soul, you begin to notice patterns, guidance, and doors opening where before there were only walls. Trusting these signs is part of trusting your inner wisdom. Skeptics dismiss them as coincidences, but those who live attuned to their soul recognize them as the natural flow of a life lived in alignment with a deeper intelligence. Another important aspect of trusting the wisdom of the soul is learning to quiet the mind. The mind is useful for analysis, planning, and solving practical problems, but it is not the source of ultimate wisdom. The mind is limited by past experiences, cultural conditioning, and fear-based thinking. The soul, however, is limitless and connected to a greater field of intelligence. To access it, one must create space for silence, stillness, and reflection. Practices like meditation, mindfulness, journaling, or simply spending time in nature help to quiet the mental noise and open the channel to the soul's wisdom. When the mind slows down, the voice of the soul becomes clearer. Insights arise spontaneously, clarity emerges without effort, and you feel guided in ways that logic alone cannot provide. This is why so many spiritual traditions emphasize inner stillness as the doorway to wisdom. It is not about escaping the world, but about reconnecting with the deeper intelligence that lives within you. Trusting the wisdom of your soul also means honoring your authentic self, even when it conflicts with external expectations. Many people feel torn between what they know inwardly to be right and what society pressures them to do. The soul may guide you toward a career, relationship, or lifestyle that others do not understand, and following it may invite criticism or misunderstanding. Yet ignoring the soul in order to please others leads to emptiness, frustration, and a sense of being disconnected from yourself. True fulfillment comes from living in alignment with your inner truth, even when it requires sacrifice. Trusting the soul is not always the easiest path, but it is always the path of freedom. It frees you from the prison of living according to others' opinions and reconnects you with the joy of being authentic. There are countless examples of people who achieved external success but felt unfulfilled until they began to trust the wisdom of their soul. Some left behind high-paying jobs to pursue a calling in art, service, or teaching. Others left relationships that looked perfect on the outside but felt wrong inside. In each case, the external world could not understand the decision, But those who listened to their soul found a deeper peace and meaning that no external reward could provide. The wisdom of the soul often leads to choices that seem risky in the short term, but bring long-term alignment and joy. It asks you to trust what feels right, even if you cannot explain it, even if there is no guarantee of outcome. It requires faith not in external systems, but in the deeper intelligence that created you. Another way the soul's wisdom expresses itself is through a sense of inner peace that arises when you are aligned with it. Even in the midst of uncertainty, even when the outcome is unclear, there is a calm assurance when you are following the guidance of your soul. This peace is the opposite of the anxiety that comes from ignoring your inner truth. People often stay in situations that feel wrong because they fear change, but in doing so, they live with constant unease. When you finally choose to follow the soul's wisdom, the external challenges may still exist, but inside you feel lighter, freer, and more grounded. This inner peace is a sign that you are on the right path, even if others cannot see it. The wisdom of the soul also teaches patience. The mind is always in a hurry, always pushing for results, always afraid of delay. But the soul moves at the pace of life itself. It knows that everything unfolds in divine timing. Trusting the soul means surrendering the need to control the timeline and allowing things to develop naturally. This does not mean being passive. It means acting when the time feels right and resting when the time feels still. Many struggles in life come from resisting this natural rhythm, from forcing things before their time or holding on when it is time to let go. The wisdom of the soul always knows when to move forward, when to wait, and when to release. Trusting it means aligning yourself with the natural flow of life instead of fighting against it. One of the greatest challenges in trusting the wisdom of the soul is overcoming doubt. Doubt is the voice of the conditioned mind, always asking for proof, always warning of failure, always comparing you to others. The soul does not provide proof in advance. It provides guidance that requires faith. Doubt asks, "What if you fail?" The soul asks, "What if you soar?" Doubt imagines worst-case scenarios. The soul holds the vision of what is possible. Learning to trust the soul means recognizing doubt for what it is, a protective mechanism of the ego, and choosing not to let it control you. Doubt may always whisper in the background, but the more you act on the wisdom of your soul, the quieter it becomes. Trusting the wisdom of your soul also transforms relationships. When you listen to your soul, you begin to attract people who resonate with your authentic self rather than with the masks you once wore. Relationships become deeper, more genuine, and more supportive. You no longer cling to people out of fear or loneliness because you are rooted in your own inner guidance. You begin to see others as fellow travelers on their own soul journeys, and this perspective fosters compassion and respect. Conflicts become less about winning or losing and more about understanding and alignment. Relationships guided by the soul are not necessarily free of challenges, but they are grounded in a deeper sense of truth and love. The wisdom of the soul is also a source of healing. Many physical and emotional struggles are intensified by ignoring the inner voice. Stress, anxiety, and disconnection often come from living in ways that contradict the soul's truth. When you begin to listen inwardly, you start making choices that support your well-being. You may feel guided to release toxic patterns, to nourish your body, to spend more time in nature, to pursue creative outlets. Healing occurs not only on the physical level, but on the emotional and spiritual levels as well. The soul always guides you toward wholeness, toward remembering your true nature, and trusting that wisdom often leads to profound transformation in every aspect of life. Ultimately, trusting the wisdom of the soul means shifting your center of authority from the outside world to the inside world. It means no longer living by borrowed beliefs or by the dictates of others, but by the quiet certainty of your own inner truth. This does not mean rejecting wisdom from others, but filtering it through the guidance of your soul. It means honoring your inner compass as the final authority in your life. It means living with courage, authenticity, and faith, knowing that within you is a wisdom as vast as the universe itself, waiting to be trusted, waiting to be expressed, waiting to guide you into the life you were meant to live.